After turning 70, Harold noticed his steps getting shorter and his energy dwindling faster than he liked. Once an avid walker who strolled through the park every morning, he now found himself catching his breath after half a lap, knees protesting, and back stiff. He worried that slowing down physically meant he was losing his vitality, but a conversation with his longtime friend and retired physician, Margaret, changed his perspective. Harold, Margaret said gently one afternoon over tea, walking less isn't a disaster. It's just a sign that your body needs a smarter approach. At our age, it's less about distance and more about the two things you must focus on. She leaned in, eyes twinkling. Do these, and you'll feel stronger, sharper, and surprisingly energized. The first thing she emphasized was strength training, in whatever form you can manage. Harold had assumed lifting weights was for younger men, for bodybuilders and athletes. Margaret laughed at his hesitation. Strength isn't about bulging muscles, she explained. It's about keeping the body functional, protecting your bones, your joints, your balance. Even 10 minutes a day can make a massive difference. Harold was skeptical. 10 minutes didn't sound like much. Margaret, noticing his doubt, suggested they start small. A few light dumbbell exercises while sitting in chairs, gentle squats holding onto the counter, resistance bands for arms and shoulders. At first, Harold felt awkward and weak. His arms shook and his legs protested. But Margaret reminded him that this was exactly the point, to challenge the muscles just enough to rebuild strength without overdoing it. Within a few weeks, Harold noticed subtle changes. Standing from a chair felt easier, climbing stairs was less daunting, and his balance during short walks improved. He even dared to take a longer stroll in the park, still slower than in his youth, but with a renewed sense of confidence. Strength, he realized, wasn't about pushing yourself like before 70. It was about preserving mobility and independence. The second thing Margaret emphasized was mental engagement, something Harold had overlooked completely. Your brain needs exercise just like your body, she said. Walking less physically doesn't mean you have to slow down mentally. Learn, challenge, connect. She encouraged Harold to pick up activities that pushed his mind. Crossword puzzles, memory games, learning a new language, or even engaging in community volunteering could stimulate cognitive function. Harold chose something unexpected for himself: online photography courses. At first, he was intimidated by the technology and camera settings, but slowly he became engrossed, exploring his city with fresh eyes and documenting the beauty he had ignored for decades. Not only did mental engagement provide stimulation, but it also fostered emotional well-being. Harold discovered joy in connecting with fellow learners online, sharing his photographs, receiving feedback, and forming friendships. Walking less physically became less of a concern because his life was fuller in other ways. His mornings now began with a light stretch, a few minutes of strength exercises, and then an hour exploring photography or reading. His energy was still lower than in his 50s, but it was steady and satisfying. Margaret reminded him often that both strength training and mental engagement worked together. One supported the body, the other nourished the mind. Together, they created a sense of resilience that walking alone could not provide. Harold realized he didn't need to push himself to walk long distances daily. Instead, he needed to focus on quality over quantity, ensuring that whatever movement and mental effort he engaged in had purpose and benefit. Over months, Harold felt a remarkable transformation. His posture improved, his confidence returned, and he found he could tackle simple tasks at home with ease. More importantly, he regained a sense of autonomy. The realization that life after 70 didn't mean decline, but adaptation, changed his outlook entirely. He no longer counted steps obsessively. He counted moments of strength, creativity, and engagement. One afternoon, while showing Margaret a new photograph he had taken at sunrise, Harold smiled. "You know," he said, I walk less now, but I feel more alive than I have in years. I never thought strength exercises and keeping my mind sharp could make such a difference. Margaret nodded, pleased. Exactly. After 70, it's not about how far you walk. It's about walking wisely and nurturing both body and mind. Harold embraced this philosophy fully. His days were shorter in physical distance, but longer in richness. He walked less, yes, but he moved better. He thought more, created more, and laughed more. By focusing on these two key elements, Harold discovered a new way to thrive after 70, proving that aging gracefully is less about resisting the years and more about choosing the right ways to move and think.